I look forward to licking your blood from my snout.
Yep, snout licking's not on my schedule, but I can fit you in for an ass kicking.
Fight.
This past weekend, we had the opportunity to play the open beta of the upcoming Invincible Versus. Now, for those who don't know, Invincible Versus is a 3v3 2D tag fighter featuring, of course, the characters from the Invincible comic book and television show. Now, the open beta actually lasted a day longer than originally expected. It was supposed to last between April 9th and 11th, but it actually got extended until the 12th, mostly because of fan reaction and more people trying to get in, and most importantly, I think because of technical issues that hindered certain people from being able to play, especially Friday and Saturday, I being one of those people as well. It was console exclusive, unlike the closed beta, which also had the ability for players on PC to play. But this was the first time I actually had the opportunity to play the game, not because of lack of interest, but simply because I didn't know the closed beta happened until after it happened. So this was my first experience with Invincible Versus, and I must say, I had a blast playing it a majority of the time. And when I say a majority of the time, I mean the time when I didn't have rage quitters and network errors, and certain other technical flaws, gameplay flaws that I will talk about later on. But first of all, the positives, and pretty much the groundwork of what is Invincible Versus. Now, of course, it still is 1v1 until you start bringing in other characters from your team if you have those other characters on your team. Unlike, say, Marvel Tokon, which singulates a team into one life bar. This is more similar to the Marvel vs. Capcom or Dragon Ball FighterZ, where you have every character that's a part of your team with their own health bar. Now, every character has light, medium, and heavy attacks, as well as a special attack that is associated with not only a specific button, in the case of the Xbox, the A button, in the case of the PlayStation, the X button, but also a particular direction. So if you're going forward or back, you will perform a different special when you use that button. There is also an auto combo system if you hit the light attack button repeatedly. Mechanically, of course, you can dash, you can air dash, you can even boost dash. You can forward roll if you get knocked down, back roll if you get knocked down. Of course, blocking is detrimental to surviving some onslaughts. You have the ability to launch an opponent with a down heavy strike that will not only launch them into the air, but also set them up for combos. And this is where things get a little bit more complicated and very much more interesting, is the ability to call an assist. And not just call an assist to help, but call an assist to continue combos. By holding down the assist button, be it L1 or L2 or the left bumper or the left trigger, depending on what you're playing, you are able to call in an assist that will either help if you just tap the button or actually take over as that character if you hold the button down. You can also call them in whenever their cooldown has run down and you're just stationary. So you have the option of continuing a combination of attacks by switching characters on the fly, or you can just call them in to kind of maybe play some mind games and scare your opponent to open them up if they're blocking, or simply switch them out if your character is low on health. It must be stated how easy this game is to pick up and play, that you can pull off some pretty impressive combos if you learn how to tag in characters, auto combo, throw in a special maneuver, maybe even a super attack afterward, and tag into another character. It's really intuitive and very fun when it comes to just being able to blend all of those mechanics together. But sometimes it just doesn't work, and sometimes the opponent, most importantly, actually knows how to stop you from doing everything that you want to do at one time, which really makes for a thrilling fight if you can get that type of fight. Now, with the assist system, the tag system, comes an opening up of more mechanics, especially when it comes to defensive measures. And this is one of the biggest points of the gameplay that people need to really expertise themselves with, to become acclimated with, even if it does feel a little awkward at times, mostly because of the button combinations. There are two specific bars beyond the health bar that are associated with every character, that is associated with the gameplay. The bottom bar is your super meter bar, and once you get up to level 2, you're able to perform super maneuvers with the touch of the special and heavy button, and once you get to level 3 and beyond, you're able to pull off your ultimate super maneuver, with the touch of the special, heavy, and boost buttons. Now in the case of the PlayStation, it was the R2, of course, Xbox the right trigger when it comes to the boost button. Now the boost button also plays into the EX moves, the boost moves of special attacks. So if you are able to boost, say, Omni-Man's Thunderclap, it will send a wave that is a lot more profound than his regular special attack of the Thunderclap that will actually knock an opponent onto their knees and leave them open if you're able to dash across the screen fast enough for a combo. Now directly under the health bars are 3 segmented bars that not only fill up slowly as you progress through the fight, but also fill up faster if you're more aggressive and are landing attacks. They also refill if you switch out between characters. Now these 3 segmented bars are probably the most important mechanic of the entire game, because they not only influence the boost attacks, because they drain with each boost attack that you utilize, but they also play into the defensive mechanics of the game that are associated with assist breakers or combo breakers, where you are able to call in an assist if they aren't cooled down to break a combo at any time. Assist breakers cost 2 bars, so utilizing them is a big detriment to your gameplay if you decide to use it too early or at the wrong time. There's also the defensive measure known as the heroic strike, so while you're blocking, if you hit the medium and strong attack buttons at the same time when an opponent hits you, you're able to knock them back. Also push block, where you utilize the dash button while you're blocking and push an opponent back. That also utilizes 1 segmented bar. But one technique that is really beneficial, that shockingly doesn't use any bars, is the tag assist breaker, where if an opponent tags in another character and you are able to hit the strong and medium buttons at the same time, right as they hit you, you're able to stop them from attacking you. You can also utilize feints. So if you call in a character from a tag and don't want to continue a combo, you can feint an attack and stop your character right then and there, and that may leave them open thinking that they can take advantage of you. But once again, it does cost a bar to do so, but it could open them up and leave them open for a combo that follows. All of these mechanics are done very well in the tutorial and explained very well. It's one of those things that it just feels like it's a lot to handle at certain times, especially how frenetic and kinetic the fighting is during any given moment of time, especially if players pick some of the more faster characters like Bulletproof or even Invincible himself. Now, if there's one thing I do not care for when it comes to this bar system, is the fact that really the bars that you utilize for your defensive measures, your defensive techniques, is associated also with the boost. I really wish that if you wanted to boost or EX your special attacks, it would take away from your super meter instead. I think that would be more beneficial to you as a defensive player if you want to be. But this game really does focus on being aggressive and offensive strikes more so than the defensive measures. But of course, players want to play the way they want to play, and if you want to be more defensive in mind, then you should be able to be rewarded with that. And if you want to be more aggressive, you should be able to be rewarded with that, even if it comes at the sacrifice of your super maneuver or even your ultimate super maneuver because you wanted to boost a special attack. Now with the open beta, we had the opportunity to play with 10 different characters. For me, I gravitated toward originally Battle Beast, Thula, and Alan the Alien. I will say that Alan became my anchor no matter what team I played with. No matter what characters I played with, he stayed the anchor for every team that I had. And for me, one of the more versatile fighters in the game, beyond the lacking projectiles. And this is where one of the biggest problems with Infinite Versus came into play for me online, and that is the projectile usage. Characters like Rex and Robot have incredible projectiles. Rex very fast, doesn't do as much damage, but his projectiles are incredibly fast and hard to counter. Robot's homing missiles literally home no matter what. They will hit you no matter what. You have to block at the perfect time to stop them, and even then you still take damage. And that's another big problem with this game, in that there is chip damage. So if you're stuck on the outside and you can't get in because you're fighting a projectile based character and you don't have someone that can counter those projectiles like that, you will get chip damage and most likely die. There is a clashing of projectiles in this game, very similar to Street Fighter and most importantly Killer Instinct, which features several developers of the most recent version of Killer Instinct that came on the Xbox One back in 2013. I think if there was the bypassing of projectiles, very similar to Mortal Kombat, players wouldn't have the incentive of just sitting back and throwing projectiles because they could get away with it. If you knew a projectile was coming your way as you're throwing your own and you leave yourself open for damage, it could result in you losing overall. I also wish beyond just going projectile for projectile or having to utilize boost armor attacks to try to get in close, that you could do stuff like maybe boost dash and maybe phase through projectiles so you could close the distance if you're not playing with a character that doesn't have their own projectiles to counter. The projectiles is the reason why I had to adopt Omni-Man and eventually Adam Eve onto my team, because I had to counter people that were utilizing projectiles a lot. But even with that, I did find that I really enjoyed playing with Adam Eve, so I'm glad that I did have the opportunity to switch teams and figure out something different. Another issue that I have from a gameplay perspective is the assist breaker, the combo breaker essentially. Not because it's a bad thing, not because it utilizes 2 bars at a time, but because it is inconsistent. 75% of the time, it will work for you. I will have no problem with throwing out an assist breaker and it working. But there will be another 25% where it will either come in too late or come in the wrong direction. And animations will cause it to miss, and I will still be stuck in a combo, and I would have lost 2 bars. That is detrimental to the gameplay because you feel like you've been robbed for trying to play the game properly. You're trying to utilize strategy and the mechanics that are given, and the game itself tells you, oh, my bad, you're still stuck in this combo. I also found that blocking from a standing position works fairly well, but crouching, if you're trying to, and maybe once again, this is input delay. I know people have said that the PlayStation 5 version has the worst input delay possible, but I feel that there were times where I was crouch blocking or blocking in general, and for some reason it just didn't register and I got hit and I didn't understand why. So there is a potential input delay that hopefully will be fixed. Maybe it's just me, but usually I don't have these problems. I did have problems when it came to blocking, just holding back, just holding down and back in this game compared to other fighting games that utilize the same method. Now, beyond the tutorial, beyond training mode, beyond practice mode, we had the ability to play ranked online. This was a mess. Simply put, this was a big mess because not only could you not, of course, play with your friends with some lobbies or even casual matches, but simply because the matchmaking was rough from day one. There were wins that weren't being counted. There were ghost connections where people couldn't accept fights. There were network errors where the game would just drop out, where matches would just drop out. And most importantly, there were rage quitters aplenty. I don't understand why in a beta you are rage quitting. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I know the whole thing about, hey, if you're in the top 20, you have the ability to be a part of the credits when the game comes out. That's all well and good. A majority of us would not be in that top 20. So why are you rage quitting? Why are you getting so upset about playing a game in the beta form that you have to rage quit? And I still don't understand the purpose of the one and dones in a beta. It doesn't matter. There has to be some kind of penalty. There has to be something connected with this when the full game comes out to punish players that are pulling the plug, that are obviously utilizing lag switching, which is something that I noticed especially on the last day, a lot more than I did the first day. They really have to figure out how to crack down on this because it is really going to hurt the online community if we have a bunch of quitters, a bunch of cheats, and a bunch of lag switchers that are hindering just a beta. I'm hoping that since it is an open beta, since there won't be a bunch of people that actually pay their hard-earned money to play this game, we won't have such a tremendous influx of people that are terrible players with terrible attitudes. Overall, I really did enjoy most of my time with Invincible Versus. I do have some gameplay gripes. As I said, the meter system could be adjusted. I doubt it'll ever happen. It's something that I just have to get used to because I think it would work better in certain methods, especially if you're more of a defensive fighter. Thus far, the online functionality is not the best. The matchmaking is not the best, but I just attribute it to it being an open beta. Hopefully, when the full game releases in a couple of weeks, it'll be worlds better than this. One thing I also must note that the game at a base level is only $50. It is a AA game, and I know a lot of people have critiqued the graphical style and some of the stiff animations associated with it. It doesn't feel that way when you're playing it, but I can understand if you're watching it, how it looks that way. It's not a AAA game, it's not a full $70 game, but with that being stated, I think that's even more of an incentive for people to try and play it early, because it's not a full price game like so many other games that don't have as much to offer, including a full story mode, including online functionality that hopefully will work when the full game releases, customization options, and pretty much a battle pass that you don't have to pay for. So there's a lot about Invincible Versus that I like, that I'm excited to play when the full game release. But there are also some issues, especially from a gameplay perspective, especially from a community perspective, that worries me about the longevity of this game. Hopefully it will be counteracted and counterbalanced by developers that are keeping their ear to the ground and understand what the players want and how to make their game better as the weeks and months progress.